On February 3rd, 2023, at approximately 8:55 p.m., Norfolk Southern Train 32N was passing through East Palestine, Ohio. It was carrying hazardous and highly toxic chemicals. Shortly later, 51 train cars came off of the rails, with 49 of them forming what is known as a derailment pile. This caught fire and burned for several days, releasing toxic chemicals into the atmosphere and surrounding area. All residents were evacuated within a 1-mile radius, and emergency first responders moved in. But why did the derailment happen? How is it affecting the local community and environment? And most importantly, how can we prevent this from happening again? Federal investigators have said that the cause of the derailment was a mechanical issue with a rail car axle, but that is only based off the results of the preliminary investigation. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has also stated that the repeal of a brake mandate in 2018 by the Trump administration could also have caused the derailment. The mandate, which was passed by the Obama administration in 2014, required trains carrying hazardous materials to use electronically controlled pneumatics, also known as ECP braking systems. The Biden administration did not reinstate the rule, despite an Associated Press study that found that the DOT failed to account for $117 million in potential savings from train derailments when repealing the mandate, and it thus would have been a much more effective rule. However, this directly contradicts a statement made by National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homendy that the rule would not have applied to the Norfolk Southern train in the first place, as it only contained 3 cars with liquids that met the requirements. This meant it was a mixed freight train, and not a hazard flammable train like the ones the rules applied to. This lack of communication and unified response has led some, like Florida Senator Marco Rubio, to call for Secretary Buttigieg to resign or be fired by the Biden administration. This report has also been disputed by more information. The Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen reported that excess weight and length caused a breakdown on February 1st on the same train, just 2 days before the derailment, and that some employees had concerns before the train reached East Palestine about the excess weight and length. Security camera footage has also surfaced of the train on fire just 20 miles before at 8:12 p.m., before it derailed. This has brought up questions regarding detectors that should have alerted the crew to this issue before it got worse. The NTSB is now looking into this new evidence as well, and if anything changes, we will report on it here on this channel, so please subscribe if you haven't already. Update: right as I was about to release this video, the report came out, so here is the information. The NTSB found that a hotbox detector less than 1 mile from the accident site measured the temperature as 103 degrees above ambient, with one 11 miles before that registering it as only 38 degrees above ambient. This did not trigger an alert, as Norfolk Southern alerts only trigger at 170 degrees above ambient. By the time the crew was alerted, it had already reached 253 degrees above ambient, at which point it was too late. The NTSB clarified that the crew had done nothing wrong in this situation. They will be holding a hearing to determine what exactly went wrong, and if anyone was at fault, and to discuss how similar situations can be prevented in the future. That information will be on this channel when it comes out, so let's go back to the video. Unfortunately, the accident has also had a tremendous effect on the residents of East Palestine. Beyond the initial stress and difficulty of the original evacuation, negative effects have begun to show in residents who returned to the area. The evacuation was lifted on February 9th, with the EPA claiming that the air inside the zone had returned to normal levels, and that the drinking water was safe. However, residents say that they experienced a burning sensation in their eyes, nausea, headaches, and drowsiness, as well as respiratory problems around the area. People have also expressed concerns that fish in the ponds and creeks are dying, along with many other animals, which could point to data that the water is actually contaminated. Although none of this has been confirmed by the EPA or Norfolk Southern, so that's not guaranteed. The EPA did conduct tests on private water wells and say that there is no reason for concern, but that has done little to lessen some residents' fears. Another concern is how we can solve this problem in the future. This is not the first time rail accidents have caused hazardous materials to leak into the atmosphere. Norfolk Southern has experienced two similar cases in 2002 and 2005. The one in Graniteville in 2005 killed 10 people and injured 250 others, all while releasing chlorine gas into the air. So far, many of the actions made by politicians have been performative. These have really included press appearances, small visits to the area, and similar things. This should be unacceptable to the American citizen. Former President Trump has used it as a political stunt, visiting East Palestine armed with free MAGA hats in a thinly veiled attempt to promote his 2024 campaign. Pete Buttigieg has used his platform as Secretary of Transportation to make similarly veiled comments, such as criticism of the Trump administration's rule change in 2018, which, as discussed earlier, had no bearing on the specific case and was of no interest to the people of East Palestine as they saw their home threatened by toxic chemicals. Experts have said that the only way to prevent similar cases in the future are furthering regulation and investment into the sector. The majority of derailments, according to sources for the Ohio Capitol Journal, are caused by faulty tracks. This can be solved by investment. Experts have also argued that increased numbers of crew members, inspectors, and safety professionals around the industry could lessen the number and severity of derailments. This is still a developing situation, and given the amount of press coverage, it is sure to be a priority for regulators in the coming future. Please subscribe if you want to stay up to date, and let me know what you think of the situation in the comments. See you next week.